Okay, Husker Nation, how are you all feeling? You guys are coming off of a 3-game win streak now after you beat Purdue. And hold on to your seats because this might not be the end for this Nebraska team. They have 4 games left on the schedule, 4 very winnable games. And I think we're looking at this Nebraska team and saying they could be championship bound, not the national championship, your conference championship. So Husker fans, I want you guys to get engaged. I want you guys to jump down in the comments below, and I want you all to let me know what y'all's thoughts are, right? Jump in the discussion, because I'm an OU fan, but I'm very interested in what Nebraska is doing and what Matt Rhule is doing with this Nebraska team. So we got to recap it. Nebraska beat Purdue 31-14. And although this wasn't a pretty win, Harburg went 6 of 11, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. You ran the ball, 13 carries for 76 yards, 1 touchdown. Your defense is still playing at an elite level. You only let Purdue gain 195 yards. You forced 3 turnovers. You only allowed 10 first downs. You controlled the time of clock. You won that 33 minutes to 26 minutes. The question is, can Nebraska clean up these turnovers, and can they be a little bit more efficient on the offensive side of the ball? Now, Purdue was favored by 1 in this game, and the over-under was 39.5. So Vegas was wrong on both there, overlooking Nebraska, which, I mean, let's be honest, a college football fan looking at Nebraska and where they started at the beginning of the season, 0-2, when you lost a 1-score game to Minnesota, and then you lost to Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. You spur off 2 more wins, go 2-2, lose to Michigan as expected, go 2-3, spurred off 3 more wins. Nebraska is quietly one of the most improved teams this year. Quietly. Let's hold on to that word. Next week, you guys have to go to Michigan State at 11 o'clock, Fox Sports 1. Probably not going to be a lot of people watching this game outside of Nebraska and Michigan State fans, maybe a few casuals here and there. Very winnable game, which would put Nebraska, if you win that game, it's 6-3, making you bowl eligible. And then you got Maryland at home, at Wisconsin, and Iowa. The last 2 games of your season are going to define whether you put yourself in a position to go to a Big 10 championship game. Because Iowa and Wisconsin currently ahead of you, and unless they lose any more games, it doesn't look like Nebraska's going to be able to overcome them. But if you beat both of them and Minnesota loses, because you still have to have Minnesota lose another conference game and you can't afford another conference loss, because you lost to Minnesota. But at the end of the day, Nebraska controls, I would say, 80% of their destiny. The other 20% is Minnesota losing, right? 80% of it. You winning your games and beating Iowa and Wisconsin. How do you do that? Well, things that you can learn from this Purdue game. Don't turn the ball over. I mean, that's going to be crucial for this Nebraska team's success throughout the season. You can't have the interceptions. You can't have the fumbles. If you can take care of the ball, you can eliminate those turnovers. You're going to get yourselves in these games to win them. You're going to put yourself in those positions. Additionally, you need your quarterback to be a little bit more efficient when passing the ball. You can't have these 122-yard days against Wisconsin and Iowa. Iowa has a terrible offense, but Nebraska has a really good defense, meaning I don't expect Iowa to score against Nebraska, but Nebraska is going to have to find ways to score on that talented Iowa defense in ways that maybe some other teams haven't. Whether that means you guys are going to pound the rock or you guys are going to pass the ball, you guys need to get that figured out. Wisconsin just played Ohio State pretty close. So I'm curious to see how the Nebraska defense is able to slow down the Wisconsin offense. Because that's what Luke Fickell wants to do. Luke Fickell wants to change the identity of Wisconsin by making them a better offensive team, but still keeping a similar defense to what Wisconsin has had in the past. And the Michigan State, I don't really need to talk about it a whole lot. Michigan State's just hot garbage since Mel Tucker left, even when Mel Tucker was there. So I look at it and I say, if the Cornhuskers win their next 4 games, you are 9-3 set at the end of the season, playing for a Big 10 championship. Obviously, you're probably losing to whoever the Big 10 East champion is, whether that's Penn State, Ohio State, or Michigan, because those are the 3 teams you're really looking at on that side of the bracket. You still call this a successful season. Nebraska's going to get to a good bowl game at 9-4, and they've already got momentum on the recruiting trail. For some of you guys that don't follow the recruiting process, let me tell you what Nebraska and Matt Rhule is doing. Matt Rhule is doing something similar to what Brent Venables is doing out of Oklahoma, and he's making a priority of in-state kids. Look at it. They landed the number 42 overall player in the 247 composite rankings in Carter Nelson, the 4-star tight end. And then you have Isaiah McMorris. You've got that Daniel Kelling dude. And I don't have the whole commit list pulled up in front of me, but I know you guys have like 3 or 4 more guys out of Bellevue, Nebraska. And that's important because those guys want to play for this program. And those are going to be the guys that challenge the current guys there and the new guys you're going to bring in, and they create the competitive depth. So this is what Nebraska needs to do to get back to relevance. Not to mention, y'all are like giving Oklahoma everything they want and more in a recruitment for a 4-star offensive lineman in Grant Bricks out of Logan, Iowa, who might be one of the top 5 offensive linemen in this class. He might not be rated that way, but guys, he's one of the top 5. He is college football ready at a Power 5 program. He can come in tomorrow and start for a lot of places. My deal is, during this win streak for Nebraska, 5 out of the 6 games, let's just put it that way, Harburg has thrown for 158, 107, 199 against Michigan, by the way, 154, 85, and 122. He's regressing since that Michigan game. You need Harburg to be throwing at least 175 to 200 yards a game. And then in the running game, you need to consistently be in that 100 yards rushing with at least one rusher. You need one rusher to identify himself as the best back in that room and to rush for 100 yards a game. If you do that and your defense continues to create turnovers and your defense continues to contain and play teams the way that we have seen them play, this Nebraska team is going to come into 2024 as a team that we have to watch in the Big 10, potentially as a contender in Matt Rhule's second season. Because Matt Rhule is going to do what he needs to do in hitting the transfer portal. We've already seen him do it in the recruiting class. He's going to do what he needs to do to be able to create a competitive program year in and year out. He's going to go find himself a quarterback. So, Nebraska fans, again, I want to hear from you. And I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are around your team, what your guys' expectations are. With. You guys think I'm crazy? Because I'm not. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm going, man, I like where Nebraska's going. This looks like a fun team. And even if you don't get to the Big 10 championship and you just win 6 or 7 games, I feel like that's an improvement and you're happy with that result. So if you haven't already, go ahead, jump down in the comments below. And if you haven't, hit that like and hit that subscribe button.